Okay. Good evening and welcome to Unapologetic, the UK podcast on politics, news and stuff from a right-of-centre viewpoint. We're down to 3 tonight. We don't know where Susan is. She's become the amazing Vanishing Susan. So we just have Jonathan.
Good evening.
And Sam.
Hey!
We don't know what Sam's doing today. She's playing Adjust the Camera. And I'm Steve, of course. And here we are for our Saturday night show. So, guys, do you feel fit and ready for your Saturday night show? That's the point.
Not fit, no.
I'm fit but not ready.
We had actually surprisingly good response from last week. Quite a few emails and people contacted us on Facebook and lots of views, and it was a good week. So we must have done something right. Let's see if we can repeat the magic formula with just the three of us.
Did we get any good hate mail?
No, we didn't really get any good hate mail. Although some things have changed from last week. We were talking about maybe in the future we would have some journalists in. Well, I think we're probably going to have one journalist, and we'll be contacting her soon. I don't anticipate there being any others. Let's just say that ship has sailed. Anyway, let's move on. So, guys, agenda item 1. Shamima Begum, is that how you say her name? Yes? Okay. Should be allowed to return to the UK to fight the decision to remove her British citizenship, the Court of Appeal has ruled. Miss Begum, now 20, was one of the 3 schoolgirls who left London to join the Islamic State route in Syria in 2015. Her citizenship was revoked by the Home Office on security grounds after she was found in a refugee camp in 2019. The Court of Appeal has said that she had been denied a fair hearing because she could not make her case from the Syrian camp. The Home Office said the decision was very disappointing and that it would apply for permission to appeal. So, first of all, let's imagine you had the decision whether to... You personally had the right to say whether she could come back to the country to appeal or not. What would you say, Sam?
No chance. No chance she should be allowed back. And it's a bit of a joke because we're trying to believe that because she's 15 she didn't know what she was doing. But Greta Thunberg is 15 and we're supposed to believe that she knows what she's doing.
And what do you think, Jonathan? Would you let her back?
Yes, but only after the UK had voted to restore the death penalty for terrorists.
I see what you're saying. I mean, I think given that she was 15, I'm not sure about the statute of limitations and all that. What age it is when you become responsible? I really don't know the law well enough to say. But I mean, the country seems to be split over this, doesn't it? You've got the left and all the left-wing newspapers like The Guardian, The Independent, The Mirror saying, of course she should come back, we're horrible monsters for not letting her. And then all the right-wing press, the Telegraph and the... whatever the other one is, and the Mail, and the Express, that's the one I was trying to think of, all kind of taking the other approach. So, I mean, it's a difficult one, isn't it? But I don't think I would let her back either, I think the same reason that everyone else thinks, in that she seems to have made a conscious choice to be a traitor to her country. And I'm not sure why she should be then allowed to come back. A lot of people seem to agree, but do you think they're going to let her come back? What do you think the ultimate end of this is going to be, Jonathan?
Yeah, she'll inevitably come back. I think what'd be interesting is what the government could do. If the courts say you must give her back her British citizenship, the British citizenship and British citizenship. So, for instance, you can have British citizenship without having the right to live or work here. So, in other words, you get kicked out even though you're a British citizen. Or you can give her British citizenship of a British dependency, such as South Georgia in the South Atlantic, where you could give her the right of abode there and the right to work there. And, given her skills at entertaining men, she should be quite happy down there, earning a living, sort of satisfying the needs of whaler crews.
But when she went over there, she was under the age of consent, wasn't she? So anything that happened to her then, she wasn't able to consent according to the law. Or am I wrong about that, Sam?
I don't know.
No,
Sorry,
I think the problem is quite a lot of the British people say she really chose this. She really chose what she was doing, and then when it all went wrong for her, suddenly she wanted to come home again. and when you make a decision. But the only thing I'm a little uncomfortable about, and I know I'm going to sound a bit soft here, but kids do make mistakes. Now, this was a massive, terrible, traitorous mistake, but kids do make mistakes. I'm just, should there not be some retribution, some way to kind of return? I don't know. What do you think, Jonathan?
I think the word you're searching for was rehabilitation. I'm not convinced. Once you're a terrorist, you're a terrorist, and the only really good terrorist is a dead one. So I've absolutely no sympathy for her whatsoever.
Sam, don't you think there should be some way for her to kind of pay her debt to society, if you like, come back?
Yeah, I do believe people should have second chances, but I just don't know how, because I don't think if she came back anyone would be able to trust her. That's the difficulty, isn't it?
Okay, well, I mean, clearly there's more to happen in this case, and the courts have ruled she's coming back, and the Home Office is trying to stop that. We don't know how it's going to turn out, so I suspect we will be talking about it again. Anyway, moving on to agenda item 2.
Well, inevitably it'll go to the Supreme Court, so it'll be interesting to see what they have to say.
Yeah.
Are you going to talk about my T-shirt?
Well, it sort of opens the argument about who actually runs the country, doesn't it? Because, yes, of course, politicians have to abide by the law, but they're the ones who make the law. And it increasingly seems to me like the courts want to be the ones who are making the law. Not just here, but all over the world. And they're meant to just enforce the law. So it's difficult, isn't it?
I don't think the current Conservative Party would have a problem introducing a law enabling the government to strip someone of their citizenship. They've got the majority and they've got the will to do it. So I can't see that being an issue, to be honest.
You've got to be a little bit careful of these things, though, because a power that you bring in with good intentions now could be abused by a future party in charge for reasons that are less well-intentioned. As people find out regularly when they do things and then lose power in their country and find the things they implemented being used against them. Happens a lot in America, actually. Sam, you wanted to show us your T-shirt? You're going to show us your T-shirt? Unapologetic. What does it say underneath? Hands off my turnips. So we said we were going to do it, and we've got our first of our merch. Jonathan, we're working on a slogan for your unapologetic T-shirt. But if anyone out there who's watching this fancies an unapologetic T-shirt with one of the slogans that you see on the T-shirt, do get in touch, and we'll work something out for you, I'm sure. You'll have to pay something, but I don't know what. And I don't know what we'll do with the money. Maybe we'll buy pizza. Maybe we'll donate it to our local homeless charity. Who knows? Anyway, moving on to agenda item 2. A figure for deaths in care homes and the wider community will not be reported today, after concerns were raised about Public Health England exaggerating the death numbers. Scotland, Northern Ireland and Wales only include those who die within 28 days of a positive test in their figures, while researchers claim PHE, Public Health England, has been counting people as victims if they die of any cause at any time after testing positive for the virus. This means England's death toll may have appeared to be much worse over the course of the pandemic. The Department for Health and Social Care said yesterday daily figures from all settings would come to a halt while the issue is resolved, which isn't a denial. So that's an interesting state of affairs. What do you make of that, Sam?
Well, they've admitted it, haven't they? They've said that if you were to have COVID and then get better and then 5 months later die in a car accident, you'd be registered as a COVID death. Matt Hancock's actually said that. So.
I mean, there's been a load of anecdotal information from people saying that their relative died and they died of something that wasn't COVID and then COVID was put on their death certificate. But it's all anecdotal until now, isn't it? But we've heard a lot of rumours of this. I mean, what's the purpose, Jonathan, of why would Public Health England want to exaggerate it?
I think that's one issue, but aside from that, there's also a spat at the moment between the doctors and the coroners, because the coroners are insisting on a death certificate being filled out by a doctor, and the doctors, bizarrely, are being one of the most sort of protectionist kind of trade unions, as you might speak, have turned around and said, actually, no, anybody can certify a cause of death. It doesn't have to be a doctor. We don't want to go touching dead bodies that might have COVID-19. Which seems to be a bit of lack of moral fibre on their part. So there is a weird argument to say between coroners and doctors.
Yeah, I mean, we here on Unapologetic have been kind of sceptical about a number of aspects about the COVID situation over the course of it, haven't we? From the very outset, we've been sceptical, but, still encouraging people to do the right thing and to follow guidance. But this seems to be some of the things that we've been worried about all along kind of coming out now. And I wonder how many more things are going to come out. What do you think, Sam?
I do think it is very worrying, isn't it? And I know of, like people saying in care homes that they were having, doctors were saying that they died of COVID if they had any symptoms. So if an old person died and they had a temperature, that was recorded as COVID as well. So I imagine our figures are a lot higher than the reality is. But it's hard, isn't it? Because I think so many people are so scared. Even if the figures were 100 people, people would still say, "Oh, 100's too many." So I don't think there's any real win for the government here.
But was this situation created by the initial exaggeration? I mean, we don't know. Obviously, it's been a serious outbreak, and we've had to take it seriously, and the government's had to. But you have to wonder whether we've almost gone over the top with it, because I mean, I've personally seen, while out doing kind of voluntary work, how terrified some people are, and it's not healthy for them. It's doing them great harm, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, it is doing people harm, and I think, there's a lot of cases where the actual harm of people staying in is actually sometimes almost worse than the COVID. I mean, you've got people perhaps not eating properly, not getting cancer treatments, various other things happening. I know of someone that's got thyroid cancer, and their treatment's been put back by 4 months. Now, that's really serious. It could actually have a real impact in their life and what happens to them, and it's really sad.
Jonathan, you got anything to add on that?
Not really. I mean, the number of people I know who have actually had it is incredibly small, really. I mean, I mean, we all know one individual who died of it, but that's one individual. That's I don't know of anybody else personally.
Well, even that individual died with it, as far as I know, rather than of it. So I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen that death certificate. I don't know what it says, but I believe it was listed as contributory rather than the cause.
Yeah, so death statistics, where, I mean, the only way they're going to get good statistics is if they start exhuming bodies and, checking people out, but that ain't going to happen.
No. Well, I had thought that we were nearly kind of past the worst of it, but now the government has come out with this mask resolution that everyone's got to wear masks in shops, and it wouldn't surprise me if they didn't say masks everywhere at some point. They seem to be testing. They were tested last time we talked about this. Remember, I mentioned it, and everyone said, "Oh, the government aren't saying that." And then literally the next day, they said, "Right, masks got to be worn in shops from whatever it is, the 24th." And now they seem to be testing waters for general mask wearing. I mean, do you think they're going to go that far, Sam?
I hope not. It's not impossible, though. I said they wouldn't do it in the shops, and then they did. So maybe they will. Maybe they're going to make us wear masks everywhere.
Do you think, Jonathan? Do you think we're going to end up being legally bound to wear a mask everywhere?
I doubt it, really. I think because I think wearing the masks in shops has made them very unpopular, which I don't entirely understand. I mean, I don't like wearing any sort of mask. Nobody does, unless they're kind of strangely kinky or whatever. But it's not a massive imposition putting, some sort of scarf in front of your mouth while you're in a shop. Probably more so in summer than it would in winter. But I mean, there's lots of people who sort of, in winter have their mouth and nose covered by their college scarf or something. And, I do think that math's brilliant, but there you go. It's such an improvement.
Thank you, Sam, for thinking about our welfare while you're on the podcast.
Yes, exactly. Well, I'm touched. So, I mean, people are making a bit of a song and dance about it, but it's not a massive imposition, really.
It's not very pleasant wearing this mask. Like, I don't know. It's all very nice breathing.
Yeah, that's the problem with them. But I mean, the thing is that for the amount of time that you're in a shop, it's acceptable. I think they'd have a real problem trying to convince people that there's any benefit at all outside of a shop. or outside
Yeah.
of a
One thing I
business where.
know is that today I went to the supermarket and loads of stuff was going out of stock again. So the stocks had been really good, and basically everything was back in stock. And then today it was all out of stock again. So I wonder if people are panic buying because they don't want to go out in masks. Because I
Yeah,
must admit, I don't want to be shopping now. There's masks.
I mean that's my feeling about it too. Personally, I'm very sceptical about whether wearing masks in shops is going to make any difference whatsoever. And like many people, I'm wondering why if masks are so effective we haven't been wearing them up till now, or why wait till the 24th. But a lot of people have said this. I personally don't mind doing it. The government says we've got to do it, then I'll do it. But I'm going to do my best not to shop until it's over. Now, sometimes I've bought a mask, and sometimes I'm going to have to go out, put my mask on to do a bit of shopping. But I'm going to do my absolute best not to shop physically out in the shops until this mask thing is over, because I don't want to do it particularly. But I don't begrudge other people wanting it, or the government bringing it in. It's, as Jonathan says, it's not the end of the world. I just personally don't want to do it, so I'll do my best to shop online or whatever.
I mean, the plus side of that is, I suspect over the next few weeks, you will be able to go to the shops and just wander around, because there'll be very few people there. So,
Well, we'll
fine.
see, won't we?
For
Because
those who quite happy to wear a mask.
either it will get to the 24th, Jonathan, and the shops will remain busy and everyone will be masks, or that all the shops will go quiet again. We'll have to see whether people are happy with this or not.
Yeah.
Anyway, agenda item 3. Sorry, Sam.
Wrong.
What?
I was saying the death figures are wrong. It's all potentially been wrong all along, and now we have to also wear masks because it's so terrifying. Although we don't know how many people have died.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess they're just playing with the kind of safest option, or trying to do the safest thing. I think a lot of this has to do with calming people down. They've locked everyone down for so long, and now I think they're saying to people, come out again, and some are just too frightened. So to kind of salve that a little bit, they're saying, well, we're going to wear masks in shops. I wonder how much of it's just for show. Don't do that.
Quite scary, this mask, isn't it? Like, if you were to see me in a shop and I was like... I quite like as well how they're making it. So, like, what I do like about the mask thing is a couple of things. So, I like that there's loads of new businesses now opening up selling masks, and I sort of feel sorry for these
Loads of them.
young
Yeah.
like doing all these masks, because at the moment they're going to be making out like bandits for like 2 months, and then suddenly they're going to be poor again. So that's a bit sad.
Most of these are businesses that have repurposed what they do into masks briefly, though.
Yeah, but I also like that there's just so many different kinds of masks you can get. I mean, this one's really cool, and there's some other better ones I want to get, but they're sold out at the moment. But there's a one which is like a massive zombie teeth mask, which I think would look quite cool.
Mask fashion.
Yeah, and I wonder as well, like, imagine if you had one with a really offensive slogan on it. Could anyone tell you off? Because you could be like, well, look, I've got to wear a mask, and I don't really want to be wearing this, but this is the only one I could buy.
Yeah, a mask that says like "All Lives Matter" or something. You go out into a shop, in it, and it would absolutely trigger everyone, wouldn't it? And or what about or any of these kind of controversial things that nobody wants anyone to say? You've got that on a mask. Oh, I don't know what would happen. You can't come in with that mask on, but you can't come in without a mask on.
I think that raises the other question: is that with this, you were saying about the regulation, it might turn out you have to wear a mask all the time. I'm less convinced of that, but I'm more convinced that actually you'll get to the stage where the government says, oh, there must be up to British standards, such and such quality of mask, and oh, there's only these 2 suppliers, who can provide them. You can't just go and wear your old college scarf or your army shamag or something.
I think at the moment they're saying you can just almost tie a sock over your face and you're allowed in. They seem to be saying any face covering will do.
If any face covering will do, I'm buying this.
I wonder if anyone will go out just with their pants on their face. Or someone else's pants on their face. Anyway, guys, we better move on to agenda item 3 because I'm never getting there.
The other interesting idea with this, having to have this, is if the shops were to give you a clear plastic sort of bag-like structure, which you could put over your head, and then when you get to the counter, you can put your groceries in and take it home with you.
Or, if they're particularly unpleasant to look at, like you, Jonathan, not clear plastic, but like coloured plastic.
Jonathan, get this.
Yeah, no, that's not really. No, that's not good.
That would be funny. Oh, very good.
These are all ex-boyfriends of Sam.
This different mask you can get is just unreal. What about this one?
Yeah, there are lots of them, and people are no doubt going to have a lot of fun with it. I actually hope that people do have fun with it, and that will at least lighten the mood.
Yeah.
Anyway, agenda item 3. Before you interrupt me again, Jonathan. Teenagers are using coronavirus masks to pretend to be elderly and buy alcohol. In a growing trend on the social media app TikTok, masked children are rubbing white powder into their hair to make it grey and donning older style clothes before heading off to the off-licence to illegally purchase alcohol. The masks and social distancing measures have created a situation where the usual challenge is trickier. What do you think about this great method of scoring beer if you're not allowed to have it, Sam?
It's quite funny, actually, isn't it? That's another thing the government haven't thought about.
I think it's excellent. The idea of loads of teenagers wandering around in tweed jackets and brogues with flat caps and a mask, you know. So, give me a pint.
My name is Humbert. And you got to wonder. I just want 17 cans of wife beater.
This would explain why there were about 17 midgets in the pub when I went in the other night.
Why do you think it is though that everybody seems to be able to take something that's supposed to be serious and find a way to do things they're not allowed to do with it? I mean, doesn't it seem to always happen?
Human nature.
So
it's innovation. It's wonderful.
So you're a shopkeeper, right? And you've got your challenge. What is the challenge? Challenge 25 or whatever. And in comes this elderly spinster with a mask on. No, could I have 19 cans of Skol or whatever? Export and
oh,
hey, Skol's all right. What are you saying?
Who drinks Skol?
All right, it was a long time ago. I'm a bit of a boomer. Yeah, not Skol. Nobody drinks Skol.
Ridiculous.
Skol.
It's like who drinks those little French stubby beers as well.
But if kids go into the place and they don't know anything about alcohol, they probably order whatever's there, whatever's on bargain that they can get the most cans. What are you saying?
Actually, what I want to know is right. They obviously manufacture Skol and those little French stubbies. So who actually buys them and drinks them? Obviously, someone does.
No, those little French tiny beers.
The French stubbies are all right.
Yeah, they're lovely. Those little beers.
Them enough.
Yeah, they are. They're nice, but they run out so quick.
They're like 2%. They're hardly worth drinking.
It's a session beer.
Not all of them are.
It's a really, really long session beer.
Well, I'm not interested in any French stubby.
Hey, hold on. Wait there. Okay, so look what I've got. This is called O'Donnell's Sticky Toffee Moonshine. And it
nice.
claims to be 50 proof. It's quite a serious bit of kit, and it tastes like sweets. It tastes like caramel sweets. It doesn't even barely taste alcoholic at all. I mean, that's killer. You wouldn't want the kids to sneak in their masks and get some of this stuff, would you? They wouldn't survive.
Yeah, before I want to try it.
Well, I've got it. Here it is. It was one of those, Facebook pops up adverts to you, and and you get an advert, and I seem to buy a lot of stuff on Facebook from these pop-up adverts, so they do work. They seem to just know exactly what you like, and I don't know what made them think I like that, because I barely drink.
It's because they're based on things that you've searched before in your browsing history.
But I haven't searched for Sticky Toffee Moonshine.
No, but you'd have searched for something similar.
I haven't. I don't barely drink.
Another interesting drink is Stroh Inlander rum, which is, very, very alcoholic. And time gone by, I used to go and drink in an army mess, and it was banned from there because so many people were getting blacking out with this stuff. Look for it when you see it. Buy it. Stroh Inlander rum. It's Austrian rum.
It sounds good. It's
highly recommended.
I'm not an enormous fan of rum, but it's all right in cocktails. Sorry, I forget I said that. I like rum. I drink loads of it. I had to just testosterone myself up a little bit there. Why are you pulling that face, Sam?
I was thinking, I was going to make a joke about you had to testosterone yourself up after thinking about French stubbies, but I just didn't think it was funny, really.
It's not really funny, no, because that was ages ago. It doesn't really work, that joke. You need to be quicker. It's called a quip, not a slow. What movie is that?
And also, Facebook adverts were to see if it was based on my browsing history. Mine is just basically plus size clothing, so it kind of makes sense.
And surely fang-shaped masks.
Does Blacks of Greenwich come up a lot on your browsing history?
Yeah, very funny.
Well, I don't know what that is.
Flags. She's basically saying, like, I need to wear a flag.
No, they're not flags. Blacks of Greenwich make marquees.
Oh, that's
Tents.
That's even worse. Anyway, moving on swiftly to agenda item 4. Hollywood stars, this is a nice story, this, no laughing now because you'll like this one. Hollywood stars have all expressed kind messages in support of a 6-year-old boy named Bridger, strange name but he's a good lad, who got attacked by a dog while saving his sister. The child's aunt Nikki Walker recently took to Instagram and shared the stories of the dog bite. She also tagged a few Marvel stars because Bridger is a big fan. She said, on July the 9th, my 6-year-old nephew Bridger saved his little sister's life by standing between her and a charging dog. After getting bit several times on the face and head, he managed to grab his sister's hand and ran with her to keep her safe. He later said, if someone had to die, I thought it should be me. So what do you think of that, lad? Sam?
What was the story again?
Seriously?
She genuinely. I was thinking about when I went shopping.
I can't hear you because of the mask.
So a boy had his sister and a dog.
A boy and his sister were out playing, I presume. This dog comes charging towards the sister, snarling and barking. The boy jumps in the way, and so instead of attacking the girl it was going to attack, little sister it might have killed, it attacks the boy and bites him lots of times on the face. I've seen the pictures, it's horrible. He's got horrible face scarring, wounds all over his face. Very serious attack. And when asked why he did it, he said, if someone had to die, I thought it should be me. And so his mum took the story onto Instagram, and the happy ending is that loads of stars have reached out to him, including Anne Hathaway, Tom Holland, Hugh Jackman, Chris Evans and Mark Ruffalo. And Captain America has said he's going to send him a full-size original Captain America shield as a gift. They've all sent Instagram and kind of video messages to him in hospital, and he's recovering well. But I just thought, what a nice story, because you know the kid clearly has spent a lot of time watching Marvel movies and hero movies, and he's a hero himself, isn't he? A real hero.
Yeah, he was prepared to offer his life for his sister.
I do wonder how many stones he'd thrown at the dog to start with, but...
Well, he's 6, and to have the presence of mind to save your little sister's life, and the courage to save your little sister's life in front of an attacking dog. And, I mean, I'm going to have the picture as one of the pictures as part of our thumbnail for this, so you'll see. But it is serious damage he's taken. I mean, hopefully he'll be fine. But this is no light attack that he stood there the whole time shielding his sister from the dog. So I thought it was a nice story, and the fact that all of those stars have I mean, don't always agree with everything they do, but they all reached out and kind of sent him messages. Loads of them. They're queuing up to do it.
What type of dog?
I don't know that, to be honest with you. I'm presuming
It's kind of lacking in detail.
I'm presuming it's no type of dog anymore, but yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
like dogs. Honest. I think their dogs are very aggressive animals.
As they say, it's bad owners, not bad dogs. Not all the time, but most of the time.
But I just wouldn't trust. I just would never trust a dog alone with a child ever. I think they're, at the end of the day, they are animals and they can do. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not just dogs like per se. I wouldn't trust any animal around a child on its own. But dogs are the only ones that do damage. You know, a cat can't do that much damage. A hamster, a gerbil can't. But a dog can do some serious damage. And I'm always amazed when you've got like people have these like leave a baby around a dog and then are surprised like when something terrible happens, because like don't leave children unaccompanied but with around pets. Because it's not like, I'm not saying like I'm against dogs and I like particularly dislike them, but you just can't always completely trust animals. They're not. They are just that. They are animals, and it only takes the kid to accidentally hurt it or do something, and it to nip them, and it's in a horrible circumstance, isn't it?
Yeah, interesting one. Well, I'm sure we'll see if we can dig out some other animal things. See if we can find times that they've saved kids for perhaps a future podcast. But
I'm gonna haters. People think I'm a dog hater now, aren't I? I'm gonna have everyone like.
Well, people don't send us very many comments, to be fair, so you might be all right. Anyway, moving on to agenda item 5. You're going to like this one. Not a lot. You're going to like it. A baker in France has been collecting women's urine from a public toilet to make Goldilocks bread. Louise Raguet, I don't know, who describes herself as an eco-feminist, deploys the urine to fertilise the wheat that she then uses to make up her boucle d'or. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, probably not, which apparently means Goldilocks bread. So she sells this stuff, I presume. She's making bread from women's wee that she collects from public toilets. So what do you think, Sam? Tasty?
Mate, it's absolutely vile. It's almost, I don't know what's more vile, using like yeast for bread, like other yeast. Because I've heard someone's done that before, and that's also very disgusting.
What do you
But then
think?
I suppose it's sterile, but I don't know. It's not one for me.
God, if someone has a wee in the street where we live, people lose their minds. Can you imagine if they found that was in their bread? Jonathan, what do you think? Are you going to drink some wee bread or not? And by which I don't mean very small bread.
Theoretically, there isn't anything wrong with it, but no, I wouldn't fancy it at all.
I mean, I think she's
What? I
taken...
just
But
don't
would you get?
disgusting people in this world. Like, what is the matter with people?
Well, I did wonder when I read the story whether she was just taking the pee.
Hilarious. And you get these guys like buy people's pants and tie. They're gross. So I don't understand why there's just so many gross people.
But people do what? Buy people's pants? What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
people
Yeah, the Japanese are into that in big time.
like use pants, use tights. People are just there's so disgusting people about. Would not believe.
Do I dare ask what you would... Oh, no, I'm not going to ask what you'd do with used pants. I'll leave it to people's imagination. I can't... Perhaps they're just going to clean them and reuse them. Perhaps they believe in recycling.
Well, I won't even tell you about the lollipops I've seen on the internet. It's just honestly so many things. It's just not even worth.
Let me just add what her next comment was. So when she questioned this lady, Louise, when she was questioned about whether she thought the bread was acceptable, she said yes. And next she wants to break taboos over excrement. So, I know, poo biscuits. I don't know what's next. Anyway, guys, I've pretty much brought it to the end of our discussion today, so I'm going to do the usual thing and see if there's anything you want to add at the end of our show. And I think people are now beginning to see we're doing the regular Saturday night show now, and that seems to be a slot that works. So maybe we'll keep to that, and then, as we said before, maybe have one other in a week. Sometimes when we've got something special. So, Jonathan, do you have anything you were burning to talk about in the podcast tonight?
The Venezuelan Navy?
You did that last week. And it was boring
do
that
every
time.
week.
And also, you got us in loads of trouble.
Do further updates, just to keep people interested.
No, you got us in loads of trouble last time. You made out like it was a joke and loads of people had died. It wasn't funny at all.
Well, they were Venezuelans, and they were part of their armed forces, which were sort of busy oppressing their people. So
People are people. I don't want anyone to die in sunk ships. Sam, you got anything you want to talk about that isn't Venezuelan Navy?
Yeah. So basically, there is this thing in Scotland. I don't know if you've heard of it. That's this hate crime law. Have you heard of this?
Say more.
Nicola Sturgeon is bringing in this new hate crime law, and it's going to say that you can't, like there's always used to be the Englishman, Irishman, Scottishman joke. It's going to ban that, and it's going to ban a number of other things. And apparently, also, they're not only going to say that you can't say it in the street or whatever. They're also going to try and make it a law that you can't make offensive jokes or comments in your own home.
That'd be fun. Well, I've got a joke for you actually. Do you want to hear it?
Okay.
An Englishman, an Irishman, and a person from the northern part of these isles. Sorry. Well, I'm just trying to find ways around the law.
Another Celt.
Yeah, AN
Well,
other Celts of unnamed origin.
it used to be referred to as North Britain, so
They love that, the Scottish. They love that.
what, being called North British?
Yeah, that's their favourite thing.
Wasn't the experience I had when I was sort of living with a bunch of them, but yeah.
Yeah, but obviously they don't love that, in fact. So I think we've pretty much covered everything. We've kind of burned through our topics and we've reached the end of the evening, so it's time to call it a day. And so with that, we have been Unapologetic, the UK podcast on politics, news and stuff from a right-of-centre viewpoint. I'm Steve. Say goodnight, Jonathan.
Good night.
Say goodnight, Sam.
Good night.
Brilliant. We'll talk to you soon.